With so many podcasts out there, shows can get lost in the shuffle. That's why we implore you to check out Too Many Captains. You can find us at amoviepodcast.com.
5 unique takes on Hollywood movies and culture. Find us on Twitter at It's a Film Podcast.
Check our intellectual deep dives into theatrical films. Find us on Instagram at Too Many Captains Productions.
Unique takes on soundtracks. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Too Many Captains Productions.
Find us at amoviepodcast.com on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play. And now, here comes a new episode of Collateral Cinema.
I'm Beau Maddox.
And I'm Ashley Chancellor.
This is Collateral Cinema. Welcome to the At the Movies edition of Collateral Cinema, the only movie podcast that matters, where we focus on good movies, bad movies, and everything else in between in the world of cinema. We are podcasting straight from somewhere in South Texas, and yes, my friends, we are a 420 friendly podcast, so whatever you have, smoke it if you've got it, my friends, and Wakanda Forever, man. Wakanda Forever, motherfuckers. Exactly.
By the way, rest in power, Mr. Chadwick Boseman. Definitely want to just dedicate this episode to you, bro, because, ooh.
Absolutely, man. I mean, it was so surprising to lose him the way that we did. I mean, I even remember when you texted with the information hey, yeah, Chadwick Boseman just passed away. And I'm just like, Black Panther. Seriously.
Jesus Christ, it personally affected me. And I really think that they handled it not only appropriately, but exceptionally well, in my opinion, which we'll get into. But rest in power, King. His presence is definitely missed. I do like what they're able to do without him, but I also feel like there's just something very missing from the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a whole, actually.
Absolutely. I mean, his presence was just so integral to that character in so many ways that, I mean, there's still to this day, there's still a movement to recast T'Challa, at least before this movie came out and everything.
Yeah, actually, especially if you're in any fan groups or shitposting groups, there's actually was a strong push from a certain demographic of people, of the portion of the fandom that they felt that T'Challa should have been recast and that would have been the best way to honor Chadwick's memory. But judging by the way that they handled his death in this movie, I don't actually agree with that. I think that they handled it perfectly, because what they were able to do is take something that was sad and really resonate with their audience. I mean, that's the way this movie bookends itself. It starts and it ends on that note with, you've got the death of T'Challa in universe, which is sad enough, but then you also have an additional layer of sadness with Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah, I mean, there were moments in this movie where I couldn't tell if it was the characters or the actors who were grieving, Chadwick. It's kind of, one and the same here.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody was so close to each other in this cast, especially coming from the first movie, that I mean, I'm sure that it was painful on set every day. I mean,
no kidding, especially because this movie was in production prior to his death, or really, I don't think anybody knew that this was going to happen. He kept it tight. He kept it, as kind of a secret. And so nobody really anticipated this. And you can definitely tell that this script was written before. It was written with his character in mind and then modified. And that's not to say that they don't handle the death well, because they do. They actually handle that within the first minute of the movie, and in my opinion, I think they really did it as best as they possibly could have, because I was worried coming into this that it would feel cheap, that it's like, okay, this happened off screen in between movies, and, you know, how are they going to kill him off? Are they going to just use, you know, an illness? Are they going to, you know, like, how can they do this and it not feel cheap? But what they managed to do was kind of actually start with the moment that happened where other characters were at. And so, no, he's not on screen, but you're there with the characters that you've come to know from the first Black Panther movie, from Infinity War and Endgame, and you're able to kind of see their live, you know, real-time reactions to this event that's happening.
And honestly, I think that the best route for this movie was to just not really go into how T'Challa actually passed.
It's an illness, and it's not disclosed. And I think
that's it. It's just he was just sick all of a sudden. And
that's best, because I think I remember hearing that there were rumors that it would just be cancer, like in real life. And I was like, well, come on, this is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, surely they could cure cancer in their universe. But no, they left it undisclosed, and I think that's best. That way you don't nitpick it. You don't really dwell on the how, you know.
It's just the only thing that you really see in the intro is that, you know, Shuri is frantically trying to find a way to help her brother. And then she eventually comes up with something, but it's just too late.
Exactly. So, yeah, we're dealing with a lot of issues that occurred as a result of the events of the first film. Now, Beau, you haven't actually watched the first Black Panther movie, right?
No, I'm mostly familiar with Black Panther as a character from like Civil War and the rest of the Infinity Saga, you know, like Infinity War and Endgame.
But even so, I think you can feel his Chadwick's absence from the Wakandan atmosphere.
Absolutely. I mean, just the fucking poise that he had in that character. I mean, he was always very regal. I mean, he really felt like royalty whenever he was playing T'Challa. So, and honestly, I'm going to say that the cast here kind of envelops themselves in that regality, you know, especially like Angela Bassett. I mean, she killed it. Oh, she killed it. This is Oscar-worthy performance right here. I know that some people have issues with the MCU. I mean, there's a recent controversy with Quentin Tarantino saying some things about it, but there's still some great acting performances in the MCU, and this right here, this is top notch. I mean, she really put all of herself into this role, you know, which is a woman grieving the loss of her family.
Exactly. So one thing that this movie does, and I think it does it well, I'm going to go out and say I don't like this as much as I like the first Black Panther movie. Not quite as much, but it's almost as good. Ryan Coogler, really. But where I think where this movie actually does excel is in its ensemble cast. I mean, yes, you have Shuri as kind of the more central focus, but not by a whole lot. They kind of, you know, it's an ensemble cast. You have Letitia Wright, Danai Gurira, and Lupita Nyong'o, Angela Bassett, Winston Duke. I mean, all characters that appeared in either the first Black Panther movie or Infinity War or Endgame.
Yeah, and I really feel like these characters were just expanded upon in a way that's very raw and, you know, it's very true to apparently what he was going for here.
But,
you know, as far as, you know, just the theme of grief.
Right, and I think what actually really works here is that it does feel like a tight movie. It does feel like that the cast really actually holds the movie together well. I actually agree. I mean, surprisingly, without Chadwick's, with his absence, you know, without that central character, you can still have this cast really win you. And I think that it works in part because they're somewhat united in that grief.
Exactly. I mean, it's very much almost like group therapy happening for everybody who is involved with Chadwick in any way, you know? Mm-hmm. It really just bleeds out off the screen and everything bleeds off of the characters. And, you know, I mean, that's really what I kind of feel like with this movie is that, you know, just the members of Wakanda just in general is the character of this movie. I mean,
Yes.
not even Black Panther. Wakanda is the character here, and it's because Wakanda as a whole is dealing with this monumental loss, the loss of their protector. You know, their symbol of their independence from the world and everything, and just seeing them come together, like especially in that first scene where they're having that funeral, they're in the funeral garb, the funerary garb, and everything, and it's just a very powerful funeral march, but one that's still full of life. You know,
it is. No, I actually really enjoyed it. But what's cool is that the nation as a whole kind of has that culturally, but you see, especially into the feelings of Shuri, who I feel like is a very different character than she was in the first film and the other movies.
Well, yeah, they had to bump up what was essentially a supporting character into like the main center of this deeply emotional journey. And
yeah, Letitia Wright needs to shut the fuck up, and
absolutely, shut the fuck up, Letitia. Shut the fuck up.
The anti-vax shit is not fun, but she is a great actress. I will give her that.
I can see why Coogler went ahead and just went with Shuri as the center of this movie.
No,
like as far as Black Panther is concerned,
she's a great fucking character. I've always loved her. I've just always felt that the personal views of the actress are unfortunate, but like she's actually a great fucking actor. The character is written well. I've always loved Shuri, and what's really cool is that she undergoes a metamorphosis and she becomes a different person after T'Challa's death. And that's very obvious. And I think actually what's cool is that you have Dominique Thorne playing Riri Williams, or Ironheart, who in many ways is kind of like Shuri's previous self. It's kind of like a mirror image of how she used to be. And I guess this movie kind of needed that with the character moving forward, you know?
And also Riri is part of that, the other tribe that they've, the lost tribe that they've talked about in Black Panther, like the Wakandans who are not in Wakanda and everything. And
this is true. The first film actually explored the concept of basically, like Killmonger's philosophy was that the black communities across the world were all brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
And that Wakanda should take care of their own. And that includes, the greater culture,
Yeah.
The surrounding black culture. And that was actually one of the more powerful themes in the first movie. So I like that that's extended here. Yes, Ironheart's a character that feels like it could have been shoehorned into any of the other movies, but I think it works to effect here because you do actually continue to explore that theme that they started with in the first one. And like I said, she plays a good parallel to Shuri's previous self.
And also, she acts as a connection to Tony Stark, even. I mean, this is totally, like, she pretty much just ganked Tony Stark's, source code for his suits and everything and just started making her own.
Which is why I'm excited to actually see her series, because she's getting her own series. That's already been announced.
That's cool.
This was just kind of setting her up. In many ways, it's kind of like how Civil War set up Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And it is kind of what seems to be what they're doing here, which is interesting because Civil War was also the debut of Black Panther.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention that. I mean, Chadwick was a big part of that, but the other characters hadn't yet been introduced, and those are who in full focus here. Of course, Martin Freeman returns as Everett Ross.
Yeah,
the token white guy.
Yeah, it's like they're our favorite colonizer. I think that's what Shuri calls him at one point. It's like,
I love it.
I mean, and that's something that I do want to get into is how colonialism plays into this movie because let's talk about Namor's civilization.
Okay, so Namor. You have I'm probably gonna butcher this. Tenoch, Huerta. Yeah, no, actually, that's not too bad. Tenoch, Huerta, Mejía.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, I grew up in San Antonio, so
we're
a little bit of that Latin American culture.
We know a little bit about it. We're still white as all hell, but
But anyway,
if only Robert was here.
So he plays Namor, as he was originally known in the comics, who was actually one of the very first superheroes. He, along with the Human Torch, and
also Captain America,
the
right?
Vision,
and the Vision,
and Captain America as well.
Captain America was part of that. Yeah.
So, no, I think the Vision was the Human Torch. Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway.
I don't know much about the comics, to be honest with you, but I've heard of Namor. I know who Namor the Submariner is. He was actually an Atlantean in the comics, and they actually announced this fairly early on, and I actually thought that it was a perfect decision in my opinion. I think it was a good decision, but to kind of distinguish themselves from the DCEU, which, you know, to be fair, Marvel used Atlantis before DC did.
Yeah.
But DC brought it to the screen first and arguably did it more did a more well-known approach to that. I mean, Aquaman's definitely a more popular and well-known character than Namor is. But anyway, so they transformed the Atlantean culture into the Talokani. It's
pretty much based on Mesoamerican, Mayan, and Aztecian culture. It's very interesting. I mean, those were contemporary cultures at the time, I believe. I mean, like they even in the city, what was it called? It was Talocan. Like, I mean, they're even playing an ancient Mayan sport. You know, I think it's called pith or something like that, where you use your hips to pretty much throw a ball, to bump a ball into a hoop. Pretty much this ring.
Okay.
Yeah, it had like a ceremonial like angle to it in Mayan culture and everything. Like they were playing stuff like that. Like, I mean, and it's interesting, like I said, how colonialism plays into this, because we even see Namor take revenge on a plantation, which is based as all hell. I'm going to say that.
Yes.
It's fucking based that we're getting into something like that in an MCU movie.
And actually gets his name. I don't think that's too big of a spoiler, but
no.
The El Niño Sin Amor, and that's where Namor comes from.
Yeah.
He's actually known to his people by a different name.
Kukulkan.
The feathered serpent god, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much related to Quetzalcoatl.
Right, I think the Mayan equivalent of...
Oh, God, no. Does that mean that he's related to Lukoa from Dragon Maid? Because that makes me uncomfortable. And if you know anything about that, that makes me very uncomfortable.
Oh, God, now I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
actually.
now you know
showed me this.
Yeah, now you know what I'm talking about. Oh, God.
But no, I love the Mesoamerican approach here that they used. I like that Atlantis became that because, like I said, Atlantis is, well, number one, yes, it's been used in the DC. It makes it a little bit confusing for casual audiences, but even more so than that, I mean, I just feel like Atlantis is kind of overdone. Although I felt like what this movie was missing was just a throwaway line where they were like, yeah, so Talocan is known by many names, Atlantis, blah, blah, blah. They could have done like a one of those, but maybe that would have been too cliche. I don't know.
It would have been too obvious.
Too on the nose.
Plus, the best thing is that it's not, they didn't make Atlantis lily white here. You know, this is a Mesoamerican, like ancient Mayan culture that pretty much was left untouched underwater for like almost like a millennia.
It actually works better with the overall narrative themes of the Black Panther section of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or, you know, because the Atlanteans and the Wakandans, I think, always have been kind of to get like have been a thing, like there are clashes between those cultures, or I know at least Namor hates
the fuck out of T'Challa.
Yeah,
in the comics, from what I understand, he hates the fuck out of him.
Bad blood between the nations and or rulers. But anyway, so they've always been kind of associated together. But I like how they kind of better fit that into the scope of the Black Panther mythos.
Yeah. Plus, they could have gone the obvious route and just had, you know, Western countries invade, which they do have to a degree, but, you know, Wakanda just completely ganks them hardcore. Like those French soldiers, they just gank them, hardcore, and just capture all of them.
Oh, hell yeah!
But and I think
they fucked around and found out.
And I think that somewhere along the line, there's mention of a possible U.S. invasion of Wakanda, but I'm glad that they didn't go that route. You know, I'm glad that they didn't. I felt like it would have been far too obvious. I mean, and, you know, I mean, of course, Wakanda would have wiped the floor with us.
Yeah.
Let's face it, Wakanda would have wiped the floor with the U.S. military. Most all Western militaries Wakanda would have wiped the floor with.
They've made it clear that Wakanda sees the rest of the world as the advanced, developed world as primitive by comparison.
And they know that the U.S. and other Western powers are going to want what they have.
Yeah,
you know, and that kind of plays into the story of this movie.
I think that's what's kind of always been empowering about Wakandan culture, about Black culture or people culture for people of color. Which, I mean, as a person who's not a person of color, I'm not going to obviously relate to as much, but I see what they're doing with it, and I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, and it's going on Ryan Coogler and everything. I mean, it's actually a brilliant decision on his part as a director. You know, and like I said, it's a brilliant way to bring these types of themes into a more mainstream audience like this. You know, like, I mean, I'm surprised that most of the anti-woke people aren't fucking, you know, just up in arms over this. I mean,
yeah. There was a little bit of like I remember when it was first announced and they talked about the whole like Atlantean to Locan thing, and I remember seeing a couple people dissenting, but they were quickly shot down as saying, no, this is a good idea.
Yeah, and it actually fits in with what the comics were like, sort of.
Right,
anyways.
right. And I would argue Black Panther is one of the better films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's just as a film, like quality, it stands up there with like Winter Soldier, Infinity War, as just really well written films.
Yeah,
well directed. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is as well, just maybe to a smaller degree. Maybe that's because Chadwick's not here, man. I don't know.
yeah.
Maybe that's not its fault, but no. I liked what they did with Wakanda Forever. I mean, we went into a little bit of Namor, but what did you think about Namor?
I think that in many ways he's very sympathetic, because I could kind of feel why he took the trajectory that he did. You know, well, I mean, he was born. I mean, he was born out of a situation where, you know, that's actually kind of similar to, you know, what happens with Wakanda and with the ancient, you know, the ancestors of Wakanda and whatnot. So, I mean, it's obvious that he would have so much hatred against the surface world and everything. And initially, I mean, I think that he wants to wage war against pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
I think he just gives Wakanda a way out first. But, you know, it's interesting to me, especially since he's coming from a civilization that's still very much kind of stuck in time in its own way, but still kind of has its own technological like advantages, you know, like the masks that they make in order to breathe on land and all that, you know.
Yeah.
And also those water grenades that they have, like those are devastating.
They have their own version of the advanced technological culture, but the difference with the Telokani is that they are all they're all superhuman. They all have abilities. See, in Wakandan culture, only the Black Panther drinks from the heart-shaped herb and gains the powers.
Yeah.
In the Telokani or Atlantean culture, they are all superhuman, and Namor is actually a mutant among this superhuman species.
Yeah, isn't he technically going to be the first mutant in the MCU, like officially?
Yeah, officially. Well, unless you count Professor X in Multiverse of Madness.
I don't know if we can count that 100%.
From another universe, but I mean, as far as what's been seen in the MCU, yeah, that was the first mutant, and Kamala Khan is a mutant as well, so...
Yeah.
No, not actually the first mutant in the MCU, but one of the first. Actually, I think Thanos is technically a mutant, but I don't think that's been established in the MCU yet. But
okay,
they'll probably make that a thing. But no, I like Namor. I think that he's a compelling character, you know, mainly because of his connection to what happened to his people. Right. Well, and he's another sympathetic villain, and I think that's where the MCU shines strongest with its villains. Is the Marvel Cinematic Universe is known for, in some of the more forgettable films or the in-between films, the films that had forgettable villains, that they were not well developed, right? They were forgettable, but when they have good villains, they're really good. And you have sympathetic villains like Killmonger, like Namor, like
Thanos,
Loki,
even Thanos
to an extent.
To an extent, Thanos is even kind of sympathetic.
Yeah. So that's what makes the best villains, the best characters that are villains. And Namor has always been an anti-hero. That's kind of been his thing. So it makes sense that he would start out as a sympathetic villain, opening up for appearances in the MCU where he might actually join forces. Of course, that kind of depends on the outcome of this movie, obviously.
Obviously, yeah, and also how Phase 5 starts up,
Right.
Yeah,
but I think that there's a lot of promise with the introduction of this character and this entire culture that comes with it. And I think as far as sympathetic villains go, it's hard to beat Killmonger, but Michael B. Jordan's is great.
Because Killmonger had a fucking point.
He had a fucking point.
Yeah, it's like, why not use Wakanda's technology to that end? Why not?
Namor has a point.
Namor has a point to his own right.
There's a little bit of, and actually, again, like Killmonger, there's a little bit of madness to his method, right? There's it's like the lengths to which he's willing to go to achieve that outcome, but he ain't wrong.
No.
I mean, he's kept his people alive for as long as he has by maintaining their culture or their civilization as a secret. Wakanda had done so for a while, or at least had maintained its secret as a highly advanced civilization until 2018's Black Panther, in which they come full force to the world. And that's the backdrop for which this movie is set, is a Wakanda that's promised to share its resources, but still can't trust the world with its weapons of mass destruction in the form of vibranium.
As they shouldn't, because God damn it, they already have a Western superpower. I think it was France sending tactical operators to fucking take them on. And they weren't having any of that.
And this is what happened to Wakanda. These are the consequences of the decision T'Challa made, for better or for worse, at the end of Black Panther. And we thought, it's a great thing that they have the means to take care of their black brothers and sisters across the world, the globe in general, to an extent, but now it's like, okay, but here are the consequences of that. And Atlantis Talokan is not going to suffer that fate.
No.
So, and that's actually what starts this whole conflict, is that the world is becoming a different place. The Marvel Cinematic Universe has seen that over the last, 10 or 15 years in universe? 20 probably.
It's such a different place now. I mean, you just don't know who's going to be there and who isn't.
Yeah.
At this point, that's just kind of the trajectory that Phase 4 really took in many ways.
Yeah.
Like even making people that were previously part of the Avengers and actually took on Thanos and everything and made them villains. Like for instance, Scarlet Witch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's been cool to see where things are transforming. And with Ryan Coogler returning to direct Black Panther, it does feel very much within the same context as the first film, but it's where is Wakanda now during this phase of the MCU, during the multiverse saga? I mean, there weren't really any references to the multiverse. I'm trying to remember if they even referenced the snap at all in this one.
I don't think so. I don't think there's any reference to it.
They did. Because they mentioned Nakia being gone.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
For 5 years, which you think is because, or at least I was thinking might be because she was snapped away. But then, oh, wait, maybe there's another reason for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to go into spoilers.
No, we're not going to go into that. But
yeah.
Here's my question, Ash. How do you feel this movie works as the end of Phase 4? And what do you think of Phase 4 in general?
Honestly, I've liked Phase 4. So I'm going to go out in here and say this. In fact, I think Simu Liu said it best, because obviously Marvel films have kind of come under fire a little bit lately. You've got filmmakers, whose opinions are usually important, Scorsese and Tarantino.
Scorsese was right. Scorsese was fucking right. I don't care what anybody says.
I know that Marvel movies are kind of seen as the fast food of the industry right now, but I think Simu Liu said something really great. This is Shang-Chi, actually. So another Phase 4 film, a good one, mind you.
Yeah. One
of the best ones this phase. But if the only gatekeepers to movie stardom came from Tarantino and Scorsese, I would never have had the opportunity to lead a $400 million plus movie. I am in awe of their filmmaking genius. They are transcendent auteurs, but they don't get to point their nose at me or anyone. No movie studio is or ever will be perfect, but I'm proud to work with one that has made sustained efforts to improve diversity on screen by creating heroes that empower and inspire people of all communities everywhere. I loved the Golden Age too, but it was wide as hell.
There's no denying that. I mean, yeah, they would never, and we know what kind of place someone like Simu Liu would have had in the fucking golden era. We've seen those roles, for Asian people.
No,
so,
yeah,
I mean,
like with the Mandarin, for instance, which is brought up in that movie, and I think that it's important that that's especially relevant here with Wakanda Forever.
Tell me how to best protect Wakanda.
Without the Black Panther, Wakanda will fall. My ancestors would often say, only the most broken people can be great leaders. My enemies call me Namor.
They came from the water. He has superhuman strength.
I need to know if Wakanda is an ally or an enemy.
You can come and find out.
Let our gracious response to this incursion be an olive branch. Further attempts on our resources will be considered an act of aggression and met with a much stiffer response.
That can't be good.
He's coming. For the surface world. Vibranium. He's covered in it.
His people do not call him general or king. They call him Coogler, the feather serpent god. Killing him will risk eternal war.
My mother told stories about a place like this.
A protected land with people that never have to leave. That never have to change who they were. What reason do you have to reveal your secret to the world?
You know what you whisper. You have lost the protector.
Let that big Valhalla star stop us from doing what is right. No more.
Exactly.
Diversity and taking, for instance, the Atlanteans, making it more diverse in a movie, a section of the Marvel Cinematic Universe that focuses on diversity, on empowerment of people in color.
Yeah, it's the one place of the MCU that isn't lily white. And like I said, that's why it was good that the antagonist in this movie wasn't a white nation or anything like that, because I feel like that would have been very cliched. You know,
so you know
but
what?
It's different to have like this ancient, both these two cultures with colonial backgrounds. You know, having dealt with colonialism before, just kind of clashing and then just coming to an understanding. You know, that's kind of what it is.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I'm gonna say that I think there is substance. I think that. Honestly, I'm going to say that the Marvel Cinematic Universe to me is more than just fast food. I mean, some of my favorite movies of all time are Marvel movies. And I just, I think that there is substance here. And the Black Panther movies represent that as well as any of the better examples, if not more so.
Yeah, more or less.
Ryan Coogler's work in the MCU is really on point. And I like what they did with Wakanda Forever. It had a lot to cover, and I feel like it did so effectively. It's a long movie, but it didn't really drag for me.
I have heard some complaints about the length of the movie here or there. You know, and it's fair enough. I mean,
I can see why you might say that, but it didn't bother me.
No, I don't really feel like the pacing was off or anything, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, and honestly, there were very few moments where I was like looking at my phone or anything while we were watching it. And I mean, I don't know. I think that, I mean, these movies live and die by the director that it's given to and the cast that's put together, you know.
Yeah. But it's a fantastic.
Take for example, Multiverse of Madness. I maintain that is an excellent Raimi film, but maybe not a great, maybe a good Doctor Strange movie, but not a great MCU movie.
Well, but my thing on that is that what is an MCU movie? Because what's great about the MCU is that you take so many different types of stories that exist in honestly different subgenres within the MCU and different teams of directors and writers, and yet there's continuity and not really any glaring plot holes to speak of, nothing that can't be easily explained anyway. And yeah, so I think that each movie kind of occupies its own space, and Phase 4 has honestly been a really good example of that.
Phase 4
it's kind of been all over the place.
It's all over the fucking place. We've had like a comedy movie, we've had a martial arts movie.
But remember, this is the beginning of the multiverse saga.
Yeah.
The Infinity Saga phases 1 through 3 are over. Phase 4 is the start of the multiverse saga, which will end with Phase 6 with Avengers King Dynasty and Avengers Secret Wars.
Oh, okay. I got you.
And I'm excited for those because that's going to be our next crossover event. But I liked Phase 4. I don't care what you guys say. Okay, first off, Black Widow was fine. I liked it. It was decent.
It was a good little spy thriller.
All right. Shang-Chi was excellent. One of the better films in the MCU.
Didn't see it.
Eternals was mediocre. Not nearly as bad as everyone says it is. Honestly,
I really have no desire to see Eternals.
It's fine. I actually was fairly invested in it, and I'd like to give Chloe Zhao, I think. I'd like to see her take another shot, and I'd like to see these characters come back and maybe try to make a better impression. But yeah, no, Eternals was fine. Spider-Man No Way Home is one of my favorite films of all time, if not my favorite film. I'm kind of
that was a highlight, and
I'm stuck between that and like The Room and The Princess Bride.
But like I said, I feel that's just a better Spider-Man movie than anything, you know.
Yeah,
it's like, once again, that's another movie that I think as an MCU movie, it's like but as just a straight up Spider-Man love letter, it's so spot on.
Yeah, Multiverse of Madness, fucking great Raimi movie, and I think that I think it was exactly what I wanted to see out of that movie, out of a Doctor Strange multiverse Raimi movie.
Yeah.
Taika Waititi, I thought killed it with Love and Thunder. I thought it was very much the same thing as Ragnarok. Ragnarok again was a little bit better.
I think it's a good comedy.
It's a good
comedy, but I mean, I understand why people were just like, okay, I think that we are kind of done with that, you know, and that's why it's good that they ended it with Wakanda Forever, with something this serious and with this much gravity.
Right. It's a good juxtaposition there. And I think Wakanda Forever is always kind of a parallel there, because it's like I love both these films. I think that they're very much in the same thing, but the first one's just maybe a little bit better. I feel that way with Ragnarok and Love and Thunder, and I feel that way about Black Panther and Black Panther 2.
Yeah.
That they're both phenomenal. The first one's maybe a little bit better, but the second one, that doesn't take away from it.
Yeah.
It's just that this one maybe had something a little bit more special. Black Panther 1, that was Chadwick Boseman, I feel like. But I digress. Black Panther Wakanda Forever, it's a perfect send-off, I think, for Phase 4. I mean, technically, the actual send-off was the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. I just watched that today, and it's excellent. So funny, so good.
Yeah, that's kind of the other comedy of the MCU is the Guardians of the Galaxy. It's like that's always a funny. That's always a funny couple of movies, right?
James
there.
Gunn's fucking amazing wherever he goes.
Yeah.
He's awesome in the DCEU with the Suicide Squad and now Peacemaker.
Now he's heading up the DCEU.
Rightfully so.
He's the head of it now.
Peacemaker and the Suicide Squad are easily some of the best superhero works I've ever seen. So are the Guardians movies. So was the holiday special. Werewolf by Night. That was like a Marvel. That was the Halloween special.
Yeah,
and that was like a Marvel's version of a old school monster movie, all shot in black and white.
Fuck yeah, kind of like a Universal monster movie.
Hell
yeah.
And that was fucking awesome. Werewolf by Night was really good. I fucking loved Whoops. I fucking loved it. And I also thought all of the TV shows were great. Standouts for me were Loki and Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Those are some of the best works in the MCU as a whole. But I mean, I loved WandaVision. I liked Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We have a black Captain America. So fuck yes.
Damn right.
Damn straight. You know, Ms. Marvel, She-Hulk have all been really, really good TV series. I've liked all of them. I've enjoyed all of them. I will defend it. I think Marvel Phase 4 is actually great. I have zero issues. I think the only low point for me was Eternals, and again, it's not nearly as bad as it's for me. It's like it's right there with like Dark World or Iron Man 2 or 3. It's like I still think they're fun films. They're just not as good as the rest.
Yeah, I can see that 100%.
But yeah, no. But Wakanda Forever and as well as Black Panther 2018 are phenomenal. They're actually not even arguably better. I mean, they are among the better parts, better directed, better written, standout films within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They, I think, embody probably the most substance.
Yeah, I definitely like all kinds of substance. But I mean, you were going to definitely get that with Ryan Coogler.
Yeah. Oh, what if? But Chadwick actually was able to contribute to that. He had recorded his What If stuff before his passing.
So that is his final performance as T'Challa.
As T'Challa, probably his final performance ever. I mean,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, no, actually, he has a couple of few episodes in What If, and What If was awesome. But I love it does break your heart a little bit because there's an episode, for instance, where he's actually Star-Lord.
Oh yeah, I heard about that one.
Yeah, he becomes Star-Lord instead of Peter Quill, which I guess catered to the internet's collective hatred for Chris Pratt, which whatever. I love him. I think he's a cool guy. I think he's a good guy.
It's me, Mario.
He's good enough for James Gunn and the rest of the cast of the Guardians films.
Yeah, but
the
MCU. Does he have to be Mario?
Does he? I don't know. Yeah.
Does he have to be Mario, man?
Man, we should have just used Charles Martinet. I actually agree with that, but
yeah,
I'm looking forward to it anyway.
I could kind of see why they would go elsewhere other than Charles Martinet, because I mean, we're talking about a fucking movie, a full-length movie. It's like, can Charles Martinet carry a movie on his own? Can I do that?
That's a good point.
So that's the only reason why I would see why they would want to go with Chris Pratt. But yeah, Charles Martinet, he's the original Mario. I mean, you got to have him involved somehow.
You know what? I think everybody's judging the Chris Pratt performance off of like 2 lines.
That's
true.
I
couldn't even determine fully if he was going for like the Brooklyn thing. And I think he is, because I wanted, like, one of those lines was definitely delivered that way. So if he's going for the Brooklyn thing, like,
so he's going for a Lou Albano.
The Lou Albano, I'm totally cool with it if he can do it.
If he can channel Lou Albano, that'd be great. I mean, that would work. But anyway, I think that counts as some good final thoughts on this movie. Honestly, and with hatred with shade on Chris Pratt.
Yeah, since this is an At the Movies, should we give it a review?
Give it a review,
a rating.
A rating, I guess.
Because I know what I would give it.
Okay, what would we give it?
Yeah, straight up. What should we do? Out of 5 or out of 10?
Out of 5.
4 out of 5 for me, easily. Or sorry, 3.5 out of 5. That's what I'm saying. The first movie was a 4 out of 5. No. The first movie was a 4.5. This one's a 4 out of 5. Yeah.
All right.
I'll stick with that.
I'll give it 3.5 out of 5 because, like I said, well, great way to bump out everything, Ash.
Sorry.
Good job. By the way, we're releasing this unedited, so you're going to hear that, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, we are.
Yep, exactly. What was the question again? You distracted me.
So I say this one's a 4 out of 5.
Oh yeah.
The first movie was a 4.5.
I give it a 3.5 because I just never saw the first movie. So
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
fair enough. But yeah, no, straight 4 out of 5 for me. It's great. Obviously, it's not going to be my favorite in the MCU overall because those spots are taken by Spider-Man No Way Home, Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, of which Chadwick was a big part of.
Yeah.
But I think that this easily falls into one of my favorite like solo films in the MCU. along with the first Black Panther. That one a little bit more so.
Yeah.
And yeah, Ryan Coogler, I would love to see what he does in the future. If he continues to direct Black Panther, or hear me out, Michael B. Jordan's directing Creed 3, right? So maybe give him a chance with the MCU. Maybe have him head the Wakanda series that's coming out if that hasn't already been cast, or I don't know.
Interesting.
Have him involved, have him help write, or I don't know, because evidently he's kind of coming into his career, and it would be a perfect way for him to continue on with the franchise and not have to keep bringing the character back.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But
anyways, I guess that we can start wrapping things up now.
Okay, yeah. Well, what are we doing next? The Goonies, right?
We are doing the Goonies with Lydia, Jen, and Naomi from Shocked and Applaud. We're going to have them back on the show. That's going to be a lot of fun. It's always fun to have the ladies on the show.
Yeah.
You know?
And we did Rocky 2 this month. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and that is currently out right now. If you want to listen to that, I mean, just find it on your favorite podcast app.
We had a commentary out on Bloodsport as well this month. That was good stuff.
Yeah, check us out on Patreon. We have $1 and $5 tiers, and we have full-length feature commentaries. And in the future, we will start releasing episodes early. Like, I'm thinking maybe after the first of the year, we'll start doing that on the Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and also check us out on Good Pods. Give us a good rating there. Like, we can rise up the ranks and up the charts there. Also, give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. That's also important.
That will definitely help us out.
And you can find us on pretty much your favorite podcast app: Spotify, Google Play, Apple, all that good stuff.
Hell yeah. And
also find us on YouTube.
Find us on YouTube. We're on all social media channels to really speak of: Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, as long as it's a thing.
As long as Twitter is a thing, who knows? I don't fucking know anymore.
We have a Facebook group, Collateral Media Podcasts, where you can actually interact with us. This upcoming month, December, is going to be fun. We're doing a lot of holiday content. We're doing our Bad Movie Month.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be fun. Love Guru and I Am Here Now.
Yep. Those are going to be our numbered episodes this upcoming month in December. And our holiday special will be Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas with Josh, Captain Nostalgia Berkey from Victims and Villains.
Always fun to have him on the show as well. I mean, our holiday episode is always a good time.
Yeah, our annual tradition. We team up with Victims and Villains, and that's I'm looking forward to the rest of this year, closing out 2022.
Yeah, it's always a good time whenever we close out the year. It's just like that's usually like the halfway point of the season. So
and it's the end of the year for Marvel content as well, which is cool because at the beginning of the year we are opening up with Phase 5, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
That'll be interesting. I guess we'll go and see that and everything.
I think that's one of the ones we should do. It's the opener of this season. I think we should probably do the opening and ending feature films of we don't have to do every superhero movie that comes out, but at least the opening, each phase bookend films and the ones that we really care about.
Yeah, definitely.
Ant-Man would be one of those naturally, even if it wasn't an opener. So I love the Ant-Man movies, man. They're awesome. And I think all the choices we made this year were appropriate. I would love to talk about Shang-Chi later, though, because it's a great movie.
Yeah, I would actually like to check it out.
Yeah, we should definitely check it out. But with Collateral Gaming, we just got our episode out on Stray this month, and we are closing the month out with God of War Ragnarok, our spoiler-free game launch edition Part 1 review. Part 2 will actually be our holiday special, and that's where we're going to be going into full spoiler territory. For the month of December, we're going to be doing The Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds, and we're going to be making December kind of a Zelda month from here on.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Exactly, because we cover Zelda, roughly once per season, and at least.
Yeah.
So I'm actually really excited about that. And I have been really invested in God of War Ragnarok, man. It's so fucking good.
I've heard a lot of good things about it.
Oh, I just want to come right now thinking about it.
Oh my God.
But yeah, guys, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Go see it in theaters. That's our recommendation. Do you agree, Beau?
I agree.
Go see it in theaters. I watched it in theaters with my mom. Actually, I watched it for my birthday.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Kind of like how we saw Love and Thunder on my birthday.
Yeah. So it was on my birthday. I got to watch Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I actually watched a double feature: Black Panther 1, and Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
Oh wow!
Over
awesome.
at the at the Casablanca.
Oh, cool! Hell yeah!
Yeah, I think so.
Awesome.
No,
awesome.
It wasn't the Casablanca. It was another San Antonio Santikos theater. But
okay.
One of those. Anyway. I watched them both, so go check out Black Panther: Wakanda Forever this month. It is really worth the watch, especially if you are a fan of the first film, of Marvel films in general. This is one of the ones that you should definitely go out to theaters to see. Even if some of the other ones were ones that you would have waited for to stream, this one's not one of them. Go see it in theaters.
No, yeah, this is definitely a theater movie all the way.
Yeah, if you're a casual fan or you haven't really watched the first Black Panther movie, I'll leave it up to you. But if this is your thing, I mean, yeah, I like it.
Exactly.
Hell yeah, guys. Well, that being said, I'm Ashley Chancellor.
And I'm Beau Maddox.
This has been Collateral Cinema at the Movies. We are out.
Wakanda Forever.
Wakanda Forever.
Rest in peace, Chadwick. Collateral Cinema is a Collateral Media podcast. All music and movie clips are owned by their respective creators and are used for educational purposes only. Please don't sue us. We're poor.